Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. So our guest in this segment is Randy Williams. This is going to be fun, I promise you. Randy is in charge of business development for NAS and for Nomos, who are two separate organizations under Voltex, who we did an interview with their president, Daniel Nickham, at some point. You might want to look that one up. But Randy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Randy is a guru of the industry. And by that, I mean, I think every question I've asked you or person I've asked you to introduce me to, you've known the answer, you knew the person, so we're just going to riff a little bit right here.
Sounds good.
You've been in the industry a long time. You've seen the power industry change. And when I use power industry, you can pick any part of it, utility, distribution, data center need type thing. But what do you think the most important and significant changes or trends are taking place within the power industry, Randy?
I think that the trend, we're missing trends.
We're missing
trends.
Ooh.
Trends that we've already been there before.
Okay.
And seen that cycle.
Yeah.
And come back, but it's not coming back as strong, or we're not planning for it.
Okay.
I really think that we've seen some of these trends before, and they've went away and they've come back, and now we've had this void for 2 years.
So what are some of the, give me a trend that we're missing.
I would say right now it's the merge of technology and the people. It's not coming together. It's not meshing. You know,
so we missed it before. We forgot about it. Now we're missing it again.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
And we're missing it on a grander scale.
I think so. It's, to me, I always bring this back to you every time. It's about relationships.
Yeah.
And we've lost the relationships. We've lost an era of people that didn't get to intertwine together to mix and know the technology that's changing, or build upon the knowledge that's there, experience that's already there. So we're here. It's 10,000 people here. I've been very fortunate that in the last 2 hours, I got to hug 1,000 people.
That you haven't hugged.
That I haven't hugged in 2 years. And I would say out of all those 1,000 people, it's just like you always ask me a question. If I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody that does.
Excellent, yeah.
And I think we're losing that. We're losing that what you call, the partnership here, the practitioners.
Yeah.
They're not able to get together. So I really think we went through a trend where utilities downsized, right-sized, and capsized, and then they couldn't come back.
Yeah, right.
How do they come back? Just maintenance on the system. Push the maintenance out. I don't have to change the oil in my car every 5,000 miles. I could go to 10, but does it last as long?
Yeah.
So they've pushed that out, and now they have a problem. They've got a new diagnostic machine that says, hey, you got a problem, but who's going to fix it?
The concept of maintaining critical assets in the electrical world, it really wasn't, that's not what the utilities did. They bought new ones, right? They got rate increases because they could spend money on capital projects. Now it's the 50 different public service commissions are saying, hey, make sure we'll let you pay, we will let you have rate increases to maintain your base. And when you go 60 months out on lead times on a transformer, or maybe even longer than that, you can't just buy a new one. You got to make that one last longer, which is a trend that we've just recently, again, it's a revisiting thing, right?
Yes.
Now we're seeing it. Is it a trend, and will it last, or will they get enough money when the government starts writing checks to just go back to replacing equipment as opposed to maintaining equipment? What are your thoughts?
I think when an event happens,
yeah,
somebody says, don't let that happen again. And they'll go as long as they can until they have the event.
You know what the sea level hates more than anything? It's when the lights go out.
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
Something's gone bad.
So many times it's the event
yeah.
that makes them change their process or their procedures, or start maintaining again, or put something in place to help warn them that that event is coming.
So Randy, you've done a lot of things. You have a lot of knowledge. Why do you do what you do for NAS, for Nomos?
Because it allows me to have interviews with you.
That's a great answer, by the way. That's the best answer I've gotten all day.
I mean, it's exactly what we're doing right here. I have fun.
Yeah.
As soon as I stepped in the door, this is my family, this is my world. I feel like the people I know and the people that know me, I feel like I'm making a difference.
Yeah, excellent. Where do you think NAS and Nomos is talk a little bit about what Nomos does. I think most people know who NAS is. What does Nomos do?
Nomos is a control cabinet company out of Quebec City, Canada. So they manufacture control cabinets for small, medium, and large power transformers.
Okay.
Small company, 50 people.
An important part of the industry though, right? Control cabinets.
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
I think something that you've done is the standardization. We talked about that at one time. Standardization, so that when people, instead of having 100 control cabinets and every one of them is different, is to standardize, which helps purchasing, it helps for maintenance, it helps for anything that you do. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, and if we look back in the last 50 years, before it was just Westinghouse and GE.
Right.
That was it. And then all of a sudden, it dipped in that industry, and when it came back, they couldn't go back fast enough. GE was out of the business, and other people started coming in from out of the United States. And so now when a large utility buys a transformer, they may buy from 5 to 7 different transformer OEMs around the world. What they've left open was the transformer spec for the control cabinet, and it allows the OEM to build almost their layout and their scheme. And what happens is you have guys in the field that are going to go to an event at 1 o'clock in the morning and it's raining, and every time he opens the door, it's different.
Oh, wow.
And you want him to be safe.
Yeah.
So I think the key word today, there's always a new word in the industry, is safety by design. So if you can design something that is safer for in the field, it'll help the human performance.
And I use the word reliability by design. And we believe a safe system should be a reliable system. And reliability first creates almost a safe system because it creates standardization, knowledge capable of doing things. Something that's changing that I'd like your take on is you hear the word interoperability and this whole idea of connectivity, not having separate systems out there that don't speak to each other. You have to see it a lot at NAS when people are going out. There's a lot of different things that they see. Talk a little bit about the challenges that we're facing in the industry with that connectivity of things. You see how many vendors are here, right?
I think it's mass confusion.
Yeah.
They don't know where to go. I think right now, people wanting to move and change so quickly, they don't allow the time to get the history and knowledge of that product. If something skips a beat, they move to another one.
Yeah.
So in the past, we had history and knowledge to make a decision next. Now it's changing so fastly. I mean, everybody changes their iPhone every year, right? There's a new model.
2 years. I'm 2 years.
Okay, it's a new model.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, every year, and I think it's happening so fast that the reason that nothing's talking to anything is because they're trying so many different systems, and it's not coming from up top.
Right.
It's being fed from the bottom, maybe. The guy in charge of the substation says, "I'd like to have this." Well, does it talk to the other substations in the group? Plus the utilities, you have somebody like Florida Power and Light next door that have substation all over the United States.
Yeah.
So all the schemes are different. All the maintenance is different and different products and everything. I just think it's mass confusion right now. If you go to a conference like this, there's 20 companies here with transformer diagnostic monitors. 20. So which one do you go with?
Right. And where does that data go? And how does it connect? Yeah. What do they do with it?
That's the key right there. So if you don't have, you can get all the data, but if you don't have that subject matter expert, the guy that's been around for 40 years, to understands what the gassing is and that and that specific type of transformer or model or vintage, You know, it's
Yeah.
we're missing that link. Nobody's connecting. I just don't think they're connecting.
Legacy knowledge, the COVID advanced it to another level. I mean, it took legacy knowledge, those guys you're talking about, that have specific knowledge about specific systems, and they're gone. And there was no way that we could put a thumb drive in their ear and just save them. So one of the things I love about IEEE is, as much as it's chaos, and by having this conference, we bring them all here to be chaotic, there is the standards. Let's create a standard for things. And I love that word, because standards means system. It means let's do it a certain way, let's agree. You've been involved with IEEE for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about the value of IEEE to you, and talk to that next generation, the next guy that's working for a company that may or may not value IEEE, to let them go and let them serve on committees. But share a little bit about that.
I worked for Mr. Harold Moore for quite a while. He's
Yeah.
known in the industry, and he told me one time that I had made it because I hosted the IEEE Standards Transforming Standards Committee. that I'd made it because the people were there, cared.
Absolutely.
And you know, a lot of these people, even though the utilities have cut back on money and funding to travel, they'll still go on their own because they feel like they're shaping
Exactly.
the new, what's coming. You know, but I can tell you, because the utilities have cut back on that dollar, now when you go to the standards meetings, it's probably 50% vendors and 50%, well, 30% utilities and 20% consultants. So it's really not the voice of the utility. It's the vendors trying to maintain their part in it.
Right.
Instead of the utilities being more of a part of it. We need more utilities involved in the standards to help shape what they need and what they want, instead of the vendor telling them what they need and what they want.
It's a big passion of mine. I'm on the Smart Grid Committee and on the Grid Edge Committee, steering committee for the Grid Edge conference we're doing. And I'm not the only one, but I'm the loudest voice on practitioners, utility practitioners. Yeah. Get the engineers here. They had a program here, you could pay $1,000 and bring 10 engineers. And we had, last count, 32 companies take advantage of this. Some bought more than 10 slots. So it kind of worked, but it's the idea that we want engineers here. And there's a lot of academics on committees, and they publish, because you publish or perish in academia. And if we don't have, as you said, we don't have the practitioners, we begin to speak in an echo chamber. You know, selfishly, a vendor brings what is selfishly in their best interest.
Exactly.
As opposed to learning and taking it back, right? There's a whole difference between that.
Exactly.
And that's a trend I see that we've got to stop, right?
That's right.
We've got to put a stop to it.
You know, even with the IEEE committees and the standards, you know, I said, what can you do to help us sometime? You know, because you promote things or you know people. And I said, start a program, bring a friend. You know, bring a friend. You know, let them bring somebody new along and to go with them. You know, at no cost. Bring a friend. Introduce it to them and let them see how important it is.
I love that. You know, Randy, this has been the longest interview, but to me it's been the shortest, and I could go another 20 minutes, but I'm told I have to end it. Yeah. Randy, it is so good to be with you,
Always
brother.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.